before the arenas, before the awards.
This is b4Nashville Live. Have a question for our guest?
Send it to us via Messenger.
Here's your host, George Davis.
That's right. It's before Nashville, and we're coming in on a special night tonight. But you know what? I don't mind. I've been trying to get this lovely young lady on for quite some time, and we had some issues, but we got it all worked out. And of course, this is before Nashville, introducing the country stars of tomorrow to the country fans of today, being brought to you by Heart to Heart Coffee. Does your coffee give back? Heart to Heart does. You need to find out more at heart2heart coffee.com. I got to get that right or they're going to fire me. So tonight joining me is Alannah McCready. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for being so patient. We were talking about the issues earlier, and come to find out, wasn't near as bad as I thought it was. But that's
technical difficulties are always a thing.
Computers are made to make life easier, and that was a lie. I think Al Gore came up with that when he came up with the internet thing. So
it's a blatant lie right to our faces.
Exactly. So how you been?
I'm good. I'm really good. I just moved into my house here in Nashville and just settling and getting everything back going after everything was shut down last year. So,
oh my gosh, COVID was a very cruel thing. I'm not going to lay blame on anybody other than COVID, and it was just cruel. We've had some run-ins with that as well, and I'll just leave that alone for now because I get through this show without having issues. So you're in Nashville now. You bought a home?
I did, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'm a first-time homeowner. I don't know if that's your
congratulations.
So yeah, we bought this one about 2 years ago, and my wife said, build your studio you've always wanted. So that's what I did.
You're like, twist my arm. Here I am.
Yeah. You ain't got to ask me more than once.
Yeah. It's me and my dog, Zoe, who is she's right next to me right now because she disappears all day. And then as soon as I get on a phone call or a Zoom or anything, she pops up out of nowhere and thinks that like it's, her time. So it's very, very interesting.
I understand. We have, we're dog owners too. We have 2 dogs and actually have 2 cats. And so we have a very full house. Yes. We need a bigger bed. We have a California King and it ain't big enough.
Well, it's their house and their bed. You just live there.
Yeah, until the mortgage comes, and then who has to make it theirs? Exactly.
I know. Every day I look at my dog and I'm like, we need to start pulling your weight around here.
Right. Do the dishes, something. I don't care. Do something.
Just because you don't have thumbs doesn't mean you can't be doing stuff.
Exactly. So tell me a little bit about Alannah growing up. I mean, you're originally from Minnesota.
Yes, Minnesota.
Yeah. And they really do need to change the name of that state.
I know, right?
I like that. And what was it like growing up in Minnesota as a young lady?
I mean, when you learn how to walk, you also get, snow boots and skates and things. So it's sort of like just a natural progression. But I mean, it was pretty normal. My mom's from Oklahoma, so that's who really got me started into country music when I was very young. So she's just, with her, I grew up on, all the great country classics, Martina, Trisha, all of them. And so just from the youngest age, it was music and hockey and, winter sports. And, my parents actually, till this day, we play this game where, because my parents listen to every genre, which I love because then I was exposed to it my whole life.
Right.
And so growing up in the car, we actually still play this game now where my parents will put on one of like the Sirius stations, so one of the decade stations, and they like quiz each other on who it is, what the song is, and like it just turned into like this family game that we play now that my brother and I are older. But when we were younger, we used to watch my parents just like argue about who it was and who was right. And so I think that sort of got me exposed to all genres at such a young age. So just appreciate all music, which I'm so grateful for.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, and that's the way a lot of people are. I mean, you get into music because of your parents, more or
Yeah.
less.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's the way I got into music and country music, was listening to Tammy Wynette and Loretta Lynn and
Yeah.
Patsy Cline and all those, and my mom, I don't know why. I don't know. Her favorite song that we listened to a lot that was on vinyl was Tammy Wynette's Divorce.
I mean, why not?
And that didn't happen until after I was out of the house. So I mean, it was kind of odd, but she loved Tammy, and so that was really good. Now, as you're growing up, from what I read, you were kind of like one of these children that you would start singing and nobody could stop you. You were just off and running,
Yeah.
and I mean, you sang more than you talked. It sounded like.
Yeah, that's the thing. Um, yeah, my parents unfortunately have a video from many, many years ago of me. Um, there's some where I'm just decided maybe just like a diaper and some cowboy boots was the look. And then then or I would just pick a costume.
Uh-huh.
There's one where I chose I wanted to be a cat, so I put a cat costume on and then just made up a song about cats and stood on the back of the couch and sang it to whoever was at our house. It's like, why? But yeah, and it just never stopped. And then, as soon as I started going to school, I started doing choir and musicals and all that stuff. And I think it was late middle school, early high school, when I was doing musicals and, a cappella groups and things like that. And that's when I was like, this feels right. I think that this is
Right.
I want to do this.
Now, what did your parents say when you told them, I think I want to be a singer?
I mean, I am so lucky that no matter what my brother and I said we wanted to do over the years, my parents are 3,000%. Okay, that's what you want to do. Okay, what's your plan? They were like, okay, let's get you the best instructors. Let's get you, the best people we can find, the best advice, the best whatever. They're just like, that's what you want to do, and you're going to give it your all. Then we're going to help you and support you as much as we possibly can. And so, for me, that was, I think, something that I always had in the back of my mind, to where I'm like, okay, I want to do this. I know I can do this. I know I'm going to have the support, and that already gives you like that push. I feel like just know that you have that.
Right. So you did have some formal training in voice and that kind of thing when you were growing up?
Yeah, I am classically trained. And in high school, all the competitions are all they're all classical competitions. So, I'm singing, Latin arias.
Okay.
So it's a little different. But I will say that now doing, mainstream music and, being in the studio when I first started out, it was very hard to come off of that classical training. It was very hard to kind of let go a little bit and
Right.
not worry so much about the technical that it was affecting the feel. So I think that's something I definitely have had to kind of work on over the years.
Because I mean, with the classical training, you are more on the technical side, and you're more worried about the
Yeah.
nuances of what's going on. What is the best thing that came out of your training that you're using now in your career?
I think my ear, and, pitch, obviously knowing where I am and what's going on, and also being able to memorize.
Now,
We doing what we do. I think it's one of the number one questions I get when we play shows, especially when we play all night,
uh-huh.
is people come up like, how do you remember all the lyrics to all of those songs? It's like 60 some songs.
Right.
How do you remember the lyrics to all those songs? I'm like, I just do, I guess. It's like, I'm not sure. They're just there.
Right. I forget what I'm saying half the time.
Yeah, no, it's so like muscle memory, and I've just done it so much. And even if like it's crazy sometimes, I'll go in and like it'll be a song we haven't played in a while, or even when we have, and I'll read it on the set list and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I don't remember any of those lyrics. They just like, go away. And then they'll play the first like 3 notes and all of a sudden they all come in. Like
There
all
you
the
go.
lyrics come in. And it's like, oh
I almost had a panic moment there.
yeah. And then like, but if all else fails, just repeat a verse. No one will know.
Exactly. Exactly. Who was, we have a friend out of Nashville, and a couple of years ago, and she may have even done it this year. We just had a festival that I helped with, and she sang, and she forgot her lyrics the first year to her own song.
Oh yeah.
And she's bopping along, doing really well. She forgets the lyrics, and then she just starts making up stuff about, I forgot my own damn lyrics and,
Oh yeah.
and stuff like that. So it was really fun.
All
So
the
it's
time.
interesting.
All the time.
Exactly. Now, as you're getting to the point where out of high school, you're getting into college, you go to college, you get into college sports, you have some fun, you wind up in New York City
Yeah.
working for a sports PR firm.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Well, I figured I might as well, do what I went to college for at least a little bit.
Right. Hey, you got to do something with that money you spent.
Yeah. So, I was doing PR for a sports management firm, and we were managing the day-to-day lives of a bunch of NFL players. And so I'm grateful for that now, though, because being an independent artist, I think a lot of what I did there carried over into my being able to promote myself and, know how to conduct myself in an interview, or what to put out there, what not to put out there about myself. And,
Right.
Just social media and how to do that. And I forget sometimes that when people start doing this, a lot of people have never done that type of thing of like promoting themselves before. And there really is like an art form to it. And there are things, it's harder than it looks.
Yeah.
And so I'm super grateful that I had that experience, because now I just applied it to myself.
Right.
But then I got an opportunity to come down to Nashville and record professionally for the first time. And I remember after I finished with that, I sat the producer down and I was like, okay, be honest with me. Do you think I can do this? I think I should be doing this for a living, but I'm obviously biased. And,
Right.
and I was like, that he gained nothing from me, continuing in music or not continuing in music. And
Right.
he was like, yeah, I mean, if you want to do this full time, I think it's something that you could definitely do as a career. And I think you could be successful. And I said, okay, twist my arm. So I quit my job and I moved. And that was 2012. And I've been doing it full time ever since.
Wow. So I want to step back to something you were talking about earlier when you were working for the PR firm, because I see this so much now. You talked about social media. And nowadays, social media plays a huge part in an artist's discovery, putting out their music, gaining followers and fans and stuff like that. It wasn't always like that. I mean, you working in PR at the time, the sports figures you worked with, were they as much tied into PR or into social media as what folks are today?
Sorry, my camera like went weird there for a second, but I heard everything you said. I think it was definitely a while ago, so it wasn't as much like Instagram and stuff wasn't as big, and there was no TikTok or things like that.
Right.
But Facebook was huge, and Instagram was just kind of getting going. And I think what I learned most from that, what we had of those platforms then, was what not to say to people, or like what not to respond to.
Right.
Like, I'd be calling these football players every day and being like, okay, so you don't know these people. It doesn't matter if they don't like you. Like, you don't have to respond to them and say mean things back to them.
Right.
Or, or just knowing what the limits should be
Mhm.
on those platforms. was a good start. But also knowing how impactful they were going to be, even with how they were at the time. Like they were much less impactful than they are now.
Right.
But there was only one way to go. They were only going up from there.
Right.
So I think it all helps, but it's also especially the interview stuff, like sitting in on all of those interviews that they did, whether it be on the phone or in person, just kind of seeing that in real life was really helpful.
Kind of helps you know, again, what to and what not to do.
Yeah.
Now, which is good.
Yeah.
So you with your time in New York, what do you think was the one thing that stuck out with either your job or living in New York, or something related to that? What was the most memorable thing for you?
I think for me, I've lived quite a few places over the years, and in New York, for me, I loved having that chapter of my life. It was a more brief chapter than the rest of the places that I've lived, but just having that chapter, like I love New York. I love New York City. I loved living there, and I miss it. But now it's just like this fun thing that I get to remember of being like, this was my kind of stepping stone to where I am now, was being there. And, there's relationships that I had there and situations that I went through there that were a part of my first album once I left. And so I think that's what I remember most or like most about my time there.
Right. Now, if you could give okay, I'm going to pick your PR brain for a minute.
Okay.
If you could work with an artist, a new artist, a young country singer that wanted to try to, get their feet in the business, with everything that you've done, what is the first suggestion that you would give them?
Don't change the lane you think you should be in. I think one of the biggest things that, especially being a female in this industry,
Absolutely.
is there's these little bubbles or little boxes that, a lot of times are like, okay, well, you're not going to be successful unless you fit into this little bubble, or no one's going to hear your music unless you do this type of music in this little box. And that's just not true. Like there's enough room for all of us, and good music is good music. And I think don't let anybody push you away from who you truly are as an artist, because then it moves further and further away from being authentic, and then no one's going to believe you.
Right.
So that was the best advice that I ever received, and that's always what I tell people who are up and coming. And also just remember, this is a roller coaster. Our industry, you could be up here one day, you could be down here the very next day. And so just staying mentally tough, and knowing how to handle bad, but also knowing how to handle good.
Right.
It's just as important.
So with this industry, and I know there are some young up and coming artists that do tune in on occasion. Tough skin is a big thing they have to have, is kind of what I'm hearing, like what you said earlier. You don't know these people, don't respond to them, just let it roll off your back and go on about your day.
Yeah. You just have to. If you let it sink in, it's going to start shaping you, and then it'll like taint what you are and who you are. Right. You have to stay true to yourself.
Right. So now we're moving forward. You're moving to Nashville. You've decided that's music's what you want to do. Nashville's where you got to be. You moved to Nashville. The first fear when you stepped foot in Nashville, to live there, for the first time, so to speak. What was the first fear that came to your mind?
People are going to tell me I'm not good. you know, or I won't fit in, which is exactly what I was just talking about,
Right.
which is something you shouldn't have to be concerned about. But just because I do country music, I don't wear cowboy boots every day. I don't, you know what I mean? I feel like there's that kind of stigma, especially in female country singers. And I like being in my own lane, and I
Right.
like doing my country. And so I think my biggest fear was, am I going to be too different to be accepted? Because there is such a stigma.
Right. And I'll say it this way, your country is not your mom's country. I mean, you grew up with a lot of great artists, talking about, who you listen to, Martina and the women like that. But it's more of a pop country. I look
Yeah.
at country as being in so many different subgenres. You've got
Yeah.
pop country, you've got classic country, you've got um, uh, the country rap, you've got country rock. There's so much of it, and country has taken on so many different feels
Yeah.
and I think that's one of the mass appeals about country music.
I agree. I think it's the songwriting that makes it country.
Hmm.
I think that is the common denominator, is telling a story, because country lyrics and country music tells stories like no other, genre really can.
Right. And I hear that from so many artists that I interview, because I generally ask them something along those same lines, depending on what lane they're kind of merging into. And they say that a lot. It's country. It's all about storytelling. It's all about connections. You write a song that somebody else can feel,
Exactly.
and that's one of the great things about it. So, speaking of that, you have a song that is out now,
Yes.
and it is called Something Like That.
Yes.
It is, and I'm going to play it here in just a couple of minutes. I just want to talk a little bit about it. I don't want to get in too deep to it, because we'll talk about the backstory after the song. But the writers, who are the writers on the song?
Myself and Will Gittens, we co-wrote it together. We actually co-wrote, I have an EP coming soon, and we co-wrote the whole EP together. During quarantine, I decided I wanted to make a new project since I couldn't be on the road. So, I asked him and his brother, who are two of the most talented people I've ever known. They're like a dynamic duo, songwriting, production, everything. And so the three of us did my whole project in quarantine.
Wow. Now, since it was during quarantine, were you Zoom writing? Did you
No,
get
we
mask and
no, we did it in they had a home studio in their house, and that's where we did it.
Mm. Sorry, I had to wet my whistle there.
Oh no, fine. Well, I'll do the same thing.
And with so they're typically your co-writers, since especially on the EP, they're absolutely your co-writers. I mean, they helped you write everything.
Yeah.
You said. Now, the EP itself, how many songs does it have?
It's going to be 5.
Okay. Are they all along the same lines of Something Like That, or is there differences in the feels of the song?
Yeah. Oh yes. I will say they definitely are all in the same family.
Mhm.
They're all definitely, you can tell they're all related. But they all have their own personality.
Okay.
I wanted to kind of give I haven't released a project in 3 years, so I feel like I'm at a point now where the music that I'm making is exactly who I am as a songwriter, and how I want to be seen as a songwriter,
Right.
and how I want people to hear my music. And it's taken almost 10 years to get to that point. But as a songwriter, you never stop learning. So
Right.
but I think this music is definitely the most honest music that I have ever put out or I'm going to put out.
Right.
And I'm just really proud of it, and I'm really excited. I started getting the mixes back, so I'm like really excited now. But there's an upbeat, girl power, which I have to have. Anthem 1. There's a very sad one. There's something like that, which is like middle of the road. And then there is a duet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I love duets. I don't know what it is about them, but just the two voices, especially if they blend together when they do harmonies, I just think it sounds awesome.
Yeah, Will and I did we did a duet as the last song on the EP.
Okay. So can you say when it's going to come out?
I would love to, but I don't know that answer.
Okay. Well, hey, that's an honest one,
Yeah. I would love to tell you, and I say before every interview, I'm always like, oh, I need to ask my publicist what I can say and how much I can say, and I forget every time, and then I get in here and I'm like,
I tend to ask some of the hard questions.
yeah.
All right, so let's take a quick musical break here. We're going to listen to Alannah's song, and it is called Something Like That. And then we'll come back and talk about it a little bit, and you can find out the backstory and all those good things, and she can explain the song. I don't think it's going to need a lot of explanation when you hear it, but we'll still let her do that. I mean, it's her song, it's her baby. She's the best one to talk about it. So I'm not going to step on her toes for that. So again, it's Before Nashville, introducing the country stars of tomorrow, the country fans of today. I've got Alannah McCready with me tonight, and it's being brought to you by Heart to Heart Coffee. I have too many sponsors. I'm sorry.
So popular.
Yeah, right. It's being brought to you by Heart to Heart Coffee, and I'll ask the question again: does your coffee give back? Well, Heart to Heart does, and you need to go to their website, heartcoffee.com. Try it out too, by the way. It's amazing coffee. If you're a coffee drinker, yeah, it's for you. So here's Alannah's song. This is Something Like That. It's on Before Nashville.
Ooh. Been cheated on about 3 times. Went running back when he apologized. I didn't know my worth, and that's fine. Now I can tell when it don't feel right. Now I'm stronger, and I know myself better. And it feels so good to know that I will never go back again. So baby, tell me, are you sure that you're ready? I'm not asking for too much, but if you want my love, then you gotta know all I want is a little more conversation. All I need is for you to not have me waiting. Have bad luck with men that lie. Just give me your time. Boy, a love like that, that's where I'm at. Something like that. Fool me twice, that's shame on me. The third time I learned how it should be a man that's true and a love that's real. Something like that is what I need. And now I'm stronger, and I know myself better. I'm not asking for too much, but if you want my love, then you gotta know all I want is a little more conversation. All I need is for you to not have me waiting. Have bad luck with men that lie. Just give me your time. Boy, a love like that, that's where I'm at. Something like that. Something like that. Oh. Something like that. Yeah. All I want is a little more conversation. All I need is for you to not have me waiting. Have bad luck with men that lie. Just give me your time. Boy, a love like that, that's where I'm at. Something like that. All I want is a little more conversation. All I need is for you to not have me waiting. Have bad luck with men that lie. Just give me your time. Boy, a love like that, that's where I'm at. Something like that.
All right, it's Before Nashville, introducing the country stars of tomorrow, the country fans of today, Alannah McCready, and that is called Something Like That. And there is a lot of young ladies out there that really need to hear that song.
Yeah,
So
that was the goal.
I love the feel of the song. It's that pop country feel, and I could, I'll be honest with you. You do, it's your song. Of course you do a fantastic job. Your voice sounds really good, but I could hear another artist singing that song as well. And that's Lauren Elena. I think Lauren would do a killer job on that.
Oh yeah, I love her.
But I mean, your voice, you've been trained classically, so you got to do something right. And you do sound really good on it. And again, it's just an amazing song. So where did it come from?
Yeah, so we sat down. It was the first song that we wrote for the project.
Okay.
And we sat down and Will was playing, something silly on the guitar, and obviously it made no sense. And he looked at me and he's like, yeah, or something like that. And we both were like, light bulb. Like, we don't even know what it's going to be about yet, but that's the title. And so it kind of just morphed into, I feel like a lot of women, girls today, they say that they need all these, like super specific things in relationships to be happy. And, if they don't have all like, these million things that this guy, a guy does, and they're not going to be happy. And we kind of wanted to strip it back and, we're like, okay, what do I want? And I'm like, well, I want someone to be nice to me, not lie to me,
Right.
and spend time with me, and, if you can't do those major, simple things or something like that, then it's probably not going to work.
Right. So it's really a simplistic story,
Yeah.
but it's a very good song. I love the arrangement and the snaps, which a lot of artists are doing now, but on the drums, the
Oh yeah.
snare snaps. It's supposed to be the snare drum, but I know I mean I don't want to spoil it for people that don't know. It's just somebody that has a really nice snare drum. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that. And now with the other songs on the EP, if I'm going to put you on the spot, and I don't want you to name it right now, but because I don't want you to give it away, if you had to pick one that was your favorite child, which one or what? How could you describe that? It's kind of like that TikTok. Tell me you're from Missouri without telling me you're from Missouri.
Yeah.
So tell me what it is without telling me what it is. How's that?
Okay. I think, oh my gosh, it's so hard. I love them all so much. That's why I did an EP and not an album. I wanted it to be, I wanted every song, to be
Right.
amazing. I mean, something like that might be just because it's the first thing I've released in a long time, and I feel like it's the first song that I've released that is like, just so authentically me.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it might be that, or there's one other one. It's very like, it's very anthemic. It's very girl power, and that's very much my vibe. So I think it'd be that one. It's also, I think, going to be the name of the EP, the other song.
I'm probably getting an email from Rachel, your publicist, right now, going, "Quit asking those questions," because I
I'm just
wasn't
waiting
on the
for the
sheet.
text to come in.
Yeah, that was not on the sheet. I love making publicists nervous, though. It's so fun. And
me too. I
know
do it
a
all
lot
the
of-
time, and I don't even try.
that just makes it fun. So together, we just about gave her a heart attack.
Yeah. Just waiting for the text to come in. Like, wait, what?
Right. Yeah. Huh? What did he really just ask you that? Well, yes, he did.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on to a portion of the show that I really enjoy because I get to dig into the how can I say this? The unexplainable of an artist's life, maybe.
Yeah.
So let's get into that right now. Does that
Okay.
sound good?
Yeah.
So this is a fun segment of the show. It's called I Heard a Rumor, and it's things that I found out about an artist that maybe not everybody knew. Now, I know you've been on a lot of podcasts, you've been interviewed a lot, and people, if you're behind the mic, you study on who you're going to interview and you know this stuff. But here's the deal. And when I first read this, I was like,
what?
Damn. You're just kind of a badass. And I don't say that to be rude, but
Oh no, I take it as a full compliment.
You are like you were an ice hockey goalie in college.
That is facts.
How did I know you're from Minnesota and stuff, but how did that happen?
Well, I learned to walk and then I got a pair of ice skates.
Mm-hmm.
And it's downhill from there. I lived in Minnesota, which is called State of Hockey.
Right.
And so it's just kind of like an unspoken thing. You play hockey. And I realized that when I was about 10, I played goalie for the first time at just a camp with my brother. And I mean, everyone had to take turns playing goalie. I think I got like 2 shots, and these are 10-year-olds. So, and I remember I got off the ice and I went to my parents and I was like, I'm really good at this. They were like, okay. And I was like, yeah, I think I should play goalie. My parents were like, oh, but of course, with the sport of they're like, all right, let's start the goalie camps. Let's find some coaches, all the things. And so, and then it sort of became where my life was music and hockey. And,
right.
In high school, I would sing the national anthem in my equipment, and then I'd skate to the net and play.
That's a difference between Minnesota and where I'm at, because the big thing here, I mean, it's kind of spread out. We don't have hockey.
Yeah.
There are no high school hockey teams.
Yeah.
Baseball, basketball, football, softball, those are kind of it. Volleyball. And hockey, I mean, you watch it on TV and you see guys come off the ice and they're missing a tooth, or they got a bloody, eye split open or stuff like that. Now, as a goalie, you're protected a lot better.
Yes.
You have the face, because I mean, when you got a puck coming at you, and some of those things can move pretty quick.
Oh yeah, and there was no girls teams when I was younger.
Right.
So I played with the boys until high school. Didn't have a choice.
That gets you ready for the girls.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think it definitely helped.
Right. And then it helped with your education, because you actually got an athletic scholarship to play hockey in college, and your college did really well. What was the national championship you guys won one year?
Yeah, I have 2 national championships.
Wow. Yeah. Did you get rings or trophies?
Rings, both.
Oh, okay. But you don't show the bling off. It's just like, okay, they're sitting over here on a shelf.
They're like this. When I put it on, it covers like 2 fingers. So I only both of them cover all my fingers, basically. They're very aggressive. I can't just casually
on your hands.
wear them.
Right. Oh, that's wild. So what was that like the first time when you're in college and you're going out in a national championship game? Who did you play in the first game?
We played Minnesota Duluth. And it was my freshman year.
Okay.
And we beat Minnesota Duluth my freshman year to win a national championship. And then my sophomore year, we lost in the national championship game to Duluth. And then my junior year, we won again.
Wow. So you kept them spread out. So that was the fun part, you know?
Well, they had won, the girls and the boys actually had both won my
Oh,
senior year of high school. So I had already signed to go to school there and play hockey there. And
mhm.
then both the women's and men's teams won a national championship that year. And I was like, I'm happy with my choice. So, the girls who were older than me actually won back to back.
Right.
So
That's pretty crazy.
yeah, it was pretty crazy. I think we actually got nominated for an SB.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's kind of wild.
that was cool.
Wow. Man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So how did hockey prepare you for where you are now in your music?
I think it's funny because I've gotten this question a lot, and it's funny to think about it because I think it prepared me more than I thought it did, especially on the mental side of it.
Right.
Like I was talking about earlier, this, industry is a roller coaster, and being mentally tough is very important. Um, and honestly, if I didn't have the athletic mindset of being an athlete at such a high level and the ups and downs of that, I mean, I don't know how people do it. Like it's,
Right.
and being able to stay mentally tough when you're at a low and when you're at a high, I think sports is one of the only things that can prepare you for that.
Right. It's interesting. I don't think my daughter's watching. I wish she was because I think she would. She was a softball pitcher, so
Okay.
and was really good. I mean, um, we did the same thing, paid for the coaches
Yeah.
and that kind of thing, but she had a natural ability,
Yeah.
and that helped a lot. But just the way that you're talking about kind of the empowerment of women. I mean, even though you're not saying women, you got to be strong. Just
No.
the way you talk and the way you present yourself and the story that you have is just emulating what it's like to be a strong, powerful woman.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think what I love to see now is that, now there are girls hockey teams for every single age.
Hmm.
And I feel like what my generation did, and I mean, there's only maybe 2 or 3 or 4 before me that even had women's hockey, period,
Right.
at those ages. And, you know, looking back, like I'm so proud that what we did in those earlier years had paved the way for it to be important to make a girls team for every age. And I think, being able to go back now to my old schools and see that there are teams for every age makes me so proud. And, like I went back to my high school and there's like a picture of me in the arena and I'm like crying, because I'm like, this is some girl is gonna look at this and be like, that's who I want to be. And that's like why anyone should do anything
Right.
is to really just try and be an example.
Right.
And I feel like my journey going from that to this, I've had a lot of people reach out to me and be like, I just love that you're making it, okay to have two passions in life, or to have, it's my journey, it's one path, but two ways to get there.
Right.
And so, if that can inspire, other girls to know that it's okay to love two things and give both things your all for portions of your life, then my job here is done.
So, I mean, you're a great role model. I mean, just by saying that, you're fantastic, a great role model. And thank you being the dad of two girls. I see my daughters and I wanted, them to have people like that. My wife is a role model for our girls, and I don't
Yeah.
want to take that away from her, but there's a difference between mom and somebody else, and
Oh yeah.
I would much
I
rather
feel
her, I would rather them follow you as a role model as one of the Kardashians, to be honest
yeah.
with
Oh, thank you so much.
That may not have been the right comparison. I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's fine. I'm the girliest jock you ever. I wore full makeup underneath my hockey helmet. It's just always been who I am.
That's great. That is absolutely great. I love that. So, with one of the things you said earlier about females in country music, what is your goal as a female in country music? What is the one brass ring that you want to grab?
I feel like in our industry and like that having this as a career, obviously there's the big huge goals, like the awards and all that kind of stuff. Those are, kind of the given obvious goals for everyone who's in my position.
Right.
But I feel like our industry has so many different tiers of levels in where you're at in your career. And I feel like there's a goal at every level, or at least there should be a goal at every level.
Mhm.
And, for me, it's important to remember that, on the days where I am having the low days, I need to remember that I do music. I do what I love full time, and I support myself with what I love full time. And there are people who also want to do this for a living who don't do that yet or can't do that yet. And those people wish they were in my position. Or, and then there's people above me that wish I was in their position, And so I feel like getting to where I am now, that goal of being able to do what I love full time and be able to live my life that way, that has been a goal that I feel like I've achieved.
Mhm.
And so now I feel like I'm on to the next goal, which would be, logistically, getting on a really great tour, opening for somebody big, or, I think people hearing my music is my biggest goal right now. Is trying to get my music to as many people as possible. And it's very hard to do.
It is. Well, it's easy and it's hard. I
Yeah.
mean, people can go to, and I'll give you a quick plug. People can go to streaming services and they can find it, be it Spotify, Apple, iTunes, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, folks, she is everywhere. So go check out the music. I mean, but I'm the thing that gets me, and I've worked in radio. That's my day job. And I've worked in radio for 37 years, over half my life. And one of the things that I've always noticed, and I've worked different genres, country is my love, but in radio, you have to be, as a friend of mine said, you have to be vanilla. Wherever you got to be, you got to be.
Yeah.
If it's talk radio, if it's, sports radio, which I can't do sports radio. I've never done that. But and maybe someday you can help me and I could start calling hockey on the radio.
Oh yeah. I got you. That'll be, the chapter of my life when I'm like a grandma. I'll be calling my grandkids hockey games.
There you go. That'd be awesome though. That would be awesome. But with the way things are going, and I've seen the industry, and I'm starting to see, I guess this is kind of where I'm going with this. I'm starting to see that females are getting a little, not much, a little bit more accepted by radio. There was the big shakeup a few years ago that, and I had actually heard this person, he was a radio consultant, say that about the tomato gate, as they called it. And it's starting to open up more. I mean, you got Lainey, I'm talking some of the, the ones that are getting the recognition. Lainey Wilson, you got Priscilla Block, you've got, gosh, her name, Tennille Towns, Tennille Arts. Golly, her name just escaped me. She's from Colorado. More Hearts Than Mine.
Ingrid?
Yes, Ingrid Andress. Thank you. So you're starting to see more and more women be accepted on the radio.
Yeah. But I think the problem is still to this day, if you were to listen to the radio for like 3 hours straight, you'd hear maybe 4 songs by women.
If you're lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say
I think
that. You're
that's
lucky.
that's where the problem is.
Yeah, and that's kind of like independent artists, I mean, yourself being one of them. Independent artists, my take has always been, um, folks, here's a shocker. Tim McGraw, Kenny Chesney, Blake Shelton, they all started out as nobodies,
Right.
you know, and I don't mean that, that's not derogatory to the independent artists. They all started out as independents.
Yeah.
Somebody had to find them somewhere and had to get them to where they are. Priscilla Block, perfect example. Independent artist. Only thing she did, she put up a song on TikTok. Her fans paid to have her record it. Next thing you know, she's a worldwide sensation, playing festivals and
Right.
going everywhere. And I'm not bashing Priscilla. I mean, I'm proud of her for what she's done, and where she's at right now, considering, but I think there's people out there to me that are like yourself. You've been in Nashville 8 years. You've been busting your backside to try to get somewhere. And it's, and I don't know for you, some people just say, I don't want to be on a big label. I don't want to do that.
I
But
do.
you still don't get the recognition. What's that?
I do.
Okay. Well, and maybe that's
No,
a thing for me to say. Maybe there's more out there to do that, but
no, I mean, there's pros and cons to both, obviously.
yeah.
But I think at this point, I know I can make great music, and I know that, I'm confident in my live shows. I've been doing it for so long, and I think the only part that's missing now is the distribution, which is what a label can provide.
Right.
And so for me, that's kind of where I'm at currently. Could that change? Yeah, obviously. It could change tomorrow. But I think, I'm confident in what I bring to the table as an artist. And a songwriter. And so I feel like that piece is what I'm missing currently.
Right. It's just that support and that push that a label can provide.
Yeah. The influence.
And I probably shouldn't say this. I have a lot of friends that work for labels, and if they're watching, I'm about to piss them off big time. But and you may not have seen it here. It was last weekend, I think. Bobby Bones did kind of an expose on TikTok about labels and radio and number ones and stuff like that. And some of the label execs came back and said, yeah, that's true. Some of them got really mad about it. But if you were in the position, and I don't know that you heard about this. Have you heard about it?
No.
Okay. Basically, he said that labels kind of use number ones like trading cards. One label will say, hey, I've got this song. It's going to be, if you'll let me get it to number one for 2 weeks, I'll let you have the next 3 weeks, kind of thing.
That sounds scary.
Does that sound correct in what you've noticed?
Sounds scary.
Yeah, it does. It does, doesn't it? And I mean, I know radio influences a lot of music, and I think the way it influences it is not good because of, a few years ago, they had this thing called payola where labels would pay to have you play a song, or they would, you'd get an album by a new artist and there'd be $1,000 or something like that stuffed in it, or some other recreational enjoyment catalyst. I'll call it that. And I mean, that's been years ago.
Such a nice way to call a bride.
Right. I'm trying. Yeah, I'm trying to. It's one of those
recreational catalyst.
Right. Tell me what you're saying without telling me what you're saying. But I mean, as an artist, I think you summed it up. And if you want to add anything to it, feel free. But it is scary.
It is scary.
Because
that's what we all strive for.
Right.
Is to be a part of that. And you want to know, when you do become a part of that, you want to know that they have your back, and that they're going to put you first, and support you and push you as far as they possibly can.
Right.
So, for him to come out and say that might not be the case in some cases is terrifying.
Right. I just got a text. I'm afraid to open it.
Hopefully it says, we want to sign her.
Yeah, well, it may not be anything, but it's just kind of nervous that I got it right then. And one of the things that I've noticed that even before I heard about this and I went back and I actually watched the videos, he did this like 2 or 3 days in a row on a weekend.
Oh, wow.
And just did a lot of stuff. And I went back and I watched the videos, but even before that, and being a woman in country music, you feel the extended pressure that's put on you because you've got a lot more on your shoulders as a female in country music than a male in country music has.
Oh yeah. So much fun.
The last female number one that I could remember was Gabby Barrett.
Yeah.
And since then you've had Luke Combs was on top of the charts for 3 weeks, I think.
17 different times.
Yeah. He's like Midas. Everything he touches turns to gold.
I know.
Luke Bryan, second week at number one this week. Gosh, I know there was another one in there somewhere. Cole Swindell.
Yeah.
So you see all these guys that are doing it. Have you ever sat down and seen that and said, and again, I don't get foul mouthed a lot, but this is one of those things, you just sat down and you go, what the hell?
Oh, all the time. All the time. And because there are definitely some songs by females that deserve it.
Right.
I mean, I'd say the last 4 songs Carly Pearce put out should have been number ones.
Exactly.
Easily.
Yeah.
And Maren Morris, the last 4 songs she put out should have went number one.
Right.
So it's hard to look at that because it's like, okay, you sit down and you know how good you are, you know what you're capable of, you know what, you could do if you were in that position. And then you look at women like Carly Pearce and Maren Morris, and it's like, okay, well, they can't even get it.
Right.
Now what?
And it kind of stifles not only your creativity, but your desire, doesn't it?
It does, and it doesn't at the same time. I feel like it does because it's like, is this ever going to change? But it doesn't at the same time. It's like, okay, this makes me want to be a part of what makes this change.
Right.
So I feel like it does a little bit of both. Kind of fuels the fire, but also is like, again,
Right. And with, I mean, I talk positive about every artist that comes on, and I don't do it just to, give you the good tingles, I'm not the kind of guy. If I feel like there's something there, then I'm going to tell you. I mean, I'm an honest, straight up kind of guy.
Love that.
But your song, I don't see why it couldn't be a number one.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I agree.
It's got everything that you need, and most importantly, now for me, again, being a dad of 2 daughters, 5 females in the house, counting 3 dogs, a daughter, and a wife.
You're outnumbered.
Yeah, I'm totally outnumbered. I have no say-so whatsoever. But seeing that, it's kind of like I don't want my daughters to look at that.
Yeah, like what do you tell them?
Right. And to not want to try because they feel like that females are so held back. And it happens in a lot of areas. It's not just music, folks. So don't think we're just picking on.
Oh, I mean, I don't think that I could have picked 2 more male dominated career paths in my
absolutely.
Like hockey and then country music.
Mm-hmm.
Like, am I nuts? Like, It's like, I make it to the highest level you can in hockey in a male dominated sport. And then I'm like, this, it'll be fun. Let's start from the bottom, another male dominated industry, but it's what I love to do. And let's just work my
Right.
work my way up again.
Scratch and claw to get
great time.
right. Well, and here's the thing. I mean, you individually, and that's why I love the way that you are such a and I called you a role model earlier, and I'll say that again. You're such a role model because you did master a male dominated sport. I mean, you won national championships. You yourself, and I've read some of the articles. You yourself, and as far as being a goalie, were just amazing. I mean, you could. Again, I don't know a damn thing about hockey. I know you skate. The last time I skated, I'm gonna be honest with you. The last time I skated was probably 22 years ago. First time on ice skates. Last time on ice skates. I slipped and fell and hit my head on the ice. I'm like, I'm done. And I had my kids with me. That's the hard part. My kids are young and I have to get up and act like it didn't hurt. And I think I had a concussion. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, I chose to play hockey, but then I also chose to play the position where even if it's not my fault, it's my fault. And I just chose to purposefully throw my body in front of somebody who's shooting a piece of frozen rubber as hard as they possibly can directly for me. My choice was to play the position that put my body in front of that on purpose. So, am I a role model? I'm just kidding. But I feel, I guess, I did it once, I could do it again. Let's just go with that.
And that's kind of, I mean, you summed up right there with the music industry in a kind of a, the word just left me, what they call it. But you take that hockey and you're standing in front of the goal and somebody is shooting that frozen piece of rubber and when they hit those things, they can get up from,
they go over 100 miles an hour.
Yeah. They can get up there pretty good, faster than I want to drive.
Yeah.
But I'm an old man now. So, Yeah. So you think about that coming straight at you, and even though you got pads on, it still hurts.
Oh yeah. I have, just ask my knees.
Exactly.
And my shoulders, and my torn labrum, and my tendonitis in all my joints at 33, and my,
So what ailments do you have left that country music can put on you at this point? I mean, you've been through it all.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. If I do that, I mean, should be a breeze.
Right.
It's, I have, the knees of a 55-year-old, but I can play some country music.
Right. Hey, I'm 55. Be careful there. No, I'm kidding.
See? I know. My doctor was like, you're probably going to need new knees by the time you're a grandma. And I was like, joke's on you. I'm not even a mom yet.
Yeah. Gotta love that.
Yeah. So
I'm putting it off as long as possible.
Yep. So you're wrong. And
oh, well, I tell you, it's been a friend of mine just messaged. She just tuned in, and I said something about hockey. He goes, "They play it on ice."
Yeah. No, I get that question from people who don't know me, or people down here who don't know me or didn't know me then in my life. They're like, "Wait, like hockey, like on ice?" I'm like, "No, the other one."
Yeah, the street hockey. Come on, be real.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. I do know it's played on ice, and I do know that it's all the puck. I know that they have, the sticks and the pads and the goalie and the forwards and the defensemen. But when it gets into like the penalties and stuff, I don't understand. I've always wanted to sit down and just read up on it.
Yeah, there's not a ton of rules, but we like to break them. So
Sound like one of my dogs was in here.
it might be mine.
Somebody barking. Oh, maybe they're outside.
They got things to do. They're busy.
Yeah. But I mean, if you take that and you put it toward where you're at with Nashville, I'm going to show you what this one says. This is great. I love it. That's amazing. There's you a new song.
Wait, why have I never thought of that?
Yeah, that would be played in hockey arenas all over America.
That is genius.
And I got to give Brian credit. I don't do that very often, but I got to give him credit for that.
That is genius. A, because it's just a genius title, but B, I like, you don't know this, but I live for terrible puns. So the fact that he just made that awful pun, but it is the best thing I've seen all day. Like, I live for bad puns.
That was great. The thing I hate about it is I didn't think of it.
Right, same.
You
I'm
know?
ashamed of myself.
Yeah, I can do song titles all day long. I can give you a song title, but as
Shame of
far
myself. It's embarrassing for me.
but that's great. So there you go. There's your number one. That's the one that's going to take you to the top of the charts right there. Just puck it.
That would happen. I have like all this amazing music, and I would write that song, and it would go crazy.
Right. It'll be kind of your tongue-in-cheek type of song.
Yeah, that's what would happen. Like, I would write that as a joke.
Right.
It would blow up.
Exactly. I mean, you could do it on TikTok. You could try it out and see what people said on TikTok,
Like, but then what happens? Then I have to actually write it, and then I have to release it, and then I have a song out called that, and I'm like, what about this other really good music I wrote?
Right. Everybody forgets about, something like that and all the great stuff. But, and you don't want to get pigeonholed as, oh, she's that gal that wrote the hockey song.
Then I become the Puckett girl.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Miss Puckett. Or
I mean, it's a slippery slope.
Right. I went to work today. I didn't want to go. And I said, just Puckett, that kind of thing. So,
I mean, that's just, it's just like it'd be one disaster after another.
You just have to write that for Brian, though.
All right. Fine, Brian.
Yeah. Just write it, do it acoustic and send it to him. And that'll satisfy him.
Brian, if I write that, you better make it go viral on TikTok. That's all I'm saying.
There you go. It better blow up because of you.
If not, I'm making a song, making a pun out of your name, Brian.
All right.
That's punishment.
He said he will beg. So
for
it to go viral. There you go.
Okay, great. I wish that's what made it do that.
This is the one I want to see. I got to be honest with you. He's
another slippery slope.
Give it up, Brian. It goes back to the movie a few years ago, White Men Can't Jump. I'll just leave it at that.
Brian can't dance.
Brian can't dance.
That's part 2.
Right. So tell us where we can find you on social media. I've got your website up there. They can go there and check out what's happening.
Yeah. My social media is Alannah McCready Music across the board on all the platforms. Made it really simple. And the link in my bio on my Instagram, and I think my Facebook page as well, is the link to something like that on all platforms.
Right.
And yeah, I put on my stories, when I'm playing, where I'm playing, and I just started dropping some clues about the EP. So if you follow me on all of those things, there's updates all the time. And I just do dumb stuff on Reels and Reels and TikTok for people to laugh at me.
Right. And I follow Alannah on everything. Everything. But I do all the artists that I interview because it's just we've got the EP coming out and we'll be looking forward to that. Still don't have a date yet. Rachel, we've made one up, but we didn't tell you that, so just ignore it.
Great. I have a meeting tomorrow with them. Now I'm gonna get yelled at.
I'm not trying to get you in trouble. I'm just picking on Rachel because I can.
I mean, you can. I'm probably going to get a text from her being like, how did I get brought into this?
Yeah, well, hey, if you're the publicist, you're going to get brought into this. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
But check out Alannah on Spotify, on iTunes, all the streaming platforms, and as well, go follow her on her socials. I love some of the things that I've ran across there. I think most of the time I see you on Instagram. I'm mostly on Instagram. I don't get on TikTok too often.
I wish I didn't have to get on TikTok.
Yeah, I like Instagram, and much better than Facebook.
Yeah, same.
So, and I know they're owned by the same guy now, and he's already a billionaire, and he's making more money than he makes more money than the U.S. deficit, and trust me, that's a lot of money. So check her out and get to know her. Stream her music. That always helps. Those downloads are great.
Yes.
Keep an eye out for the EP that will be coming. And I will find out. I'm going to pester Rachel until
as soon as we know, you will know.
And that's what I'm looking forward to, because I want to hear the rest of these songs that you told me about that you didn't tell me about.
I'm so excited. I started getting the mixes back, and it makes me fancy. And I'm always like, how do I play these for everybody but not play them for everybody?
Right.
They're like, what?
Yeah.
But
you just put on your socials the first chord, and then you cut it off. You tease them.
I know. I'm like, please.
Yeah. Can I tease them just a little? Nope. Can't do it. Oh, those stinking publicists. Between them and management.
Why did I let them be in charge?
I know, right? Brian just started following you on Instagram, by the way.
Love it.
You have a new follower. So check out Alannah. She's amazing. If you go to her website, I think it was the website where I saw pictures of you when you won the national championship.
Oh, maybe.
Or Instagram somewhere. I saw pictures somewhere, but that's really cool. So go check her out, stream her music, follow her on her socials, and become a fan. That's the goal of the podcast, is to introduce the country stars of tomorrow to the country fans of today. And she will be, as soon as she gets Just Puckett out and gets it radio. Trust me. So we hope it happens before then. I don't want that to be your claim to fame.
That'd be great. That'd be great if I could just put that as a joke after I already have another number.
Right. But I got to tell you this real quick. The merch ideas on that
bad
are just you've got pucks. You got pucks that have Just Puckett on it.
They're endless.
You've
the
got
possibilities are literally endless.
You can tie that in with so much. You can make a lot of money off of that, by the way, with the merch. Them jerseys.
Well, then I have to give Brian 10%.
Shh, don't offer it. Don't offer it. Just let him feel good about the fact, that he gave you the title. He'll want to be a co-writer, and then you owe him a lot more than that.
Yeah, no, you're not getting credit. You're not getting writer's credit, Brian.
He's telling me to shut up. So again, Alannah, thanks so much for coming on, and I appreciate I'm glad we finally got you on.
Me too.
And it's been a great interview. I've really enjoyed it, and we'll keep an eye out. And as soon as that EP you got the release date, I hope to get the email. So if Rachel's listening, Rachel, you make sure that I get the email. So, and I'll go download it as soon as I can. Pre-save, whatever I got to do. So again, Alannah McCready. Now be sure to join us on Thursday, tomorrow night, because tomorrow night I've got Eric Burgett with me, and he's another up-and-coming artist that I'm super excited to interview, and that'll be happening tomorrow night at 8:00. Facebook, YouTube, and we're also on Twitch. So, and I didn't mention that to Alannah. She's been on Twitch tonight too. So,
hi Twitch.
We've had her everywhere. So again, Alannah, thanks so much for coming on. It's Before Nashville, where we introduce the country stars of tomorrow to the country fans of today. And it's been brought to you by Heart to Heart Coffee. Go check them out. Heart to Heart Coffee, heartcoffee.com. So Alannah, have a great night, and we'll talk to you later.
Thank you.